Now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, and welcome to WordStream's next live webinar. This one is designed specifically with agencies like you all in mind, how to pitch, audit, and price landing page services. My name's Amanda, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. Just to start, but for those of you who may have heard of us from our content or go to our blog. We also do have a software that we offer for agencies that can help you manage and optimize your clients' Google, Facebook, and Bing ads all from one place. It allows you to prioritize and budget across your book of business and share success with your clients through customizable white-labeled reports. We also have a new business center that lets you house prospects and pitch them with our proposal generator. So we've got some great offers for you, and we're excited to jump into today's content. But before we do that, just a reminder that this webinar is being recorded, so you can be sure to get the slides and the recording into your inbox within the next 24 hours. And also submit your questions today. We want this to be interactive. We want this to be helpful and beneficial to you, so feel free to chat in. We'll be asking some questions throughout to get people involved and hyped up, so we're excited to start. So without further ado, I will pass it off to our hosts for today.
Thanks, Amanda, and thanks everyone for hopping on this afternoon. Just a quick intro. My name is Matt Bose. I'm an agency team lead here at WordStream. I'm really happy to be presenting this topic with our Director of Managed Services, Zena. So we'll be going back and forth. You'll hear from both of us today. And to get us started, we wanted to ask you guys a question. Are you currently offering landing page services to your clients? And when the poll launches, feel free to interact with that.
All right, we've got some answers rolling in. We like what we see. We'll close it down in a second. All righty. So it looks like we have about 70% of our audience on the line with us today offering landing page services, and about 29% eager to learn more, and that's why they're here.
Awesome. And we'll definitely help speak to both parties there. The 70% offering landing page services and charging for those services is kind of in line with what our agency clients are doing. If you see the screen here, about 64% of our agency clients are already offering landing page creation as a service that they charge for, which is great. In terms of paid management and paid advertising, it's important to note that 69% of our clients are advertising for their clients on AdWords, Bing, and Facebook already. And the reason why we pair these two together is when we look at how much time our clients are spending on PPC management for their clients, about 70% of our clients are taking an hour or more per week to put into management of PPC. So the reason why it's really, really important to look at these two together is because if we're going to invest a ton of time managing PPC for our clients, CRO and landing page optimization need to go hand in hand, so we're turning that paid traffic into leads and into customers for our clients as well. We've got some conversion rates up here, and these are just averages for people advertising on Google. So we're using Google as the example here on the screen. And what we're seeing here is the average advertiser on Google is seeing a 2.35% conversion rate, which is generally unremarkable. As we move up the ranks, we see the top 25% of Google advertisers have a conversion rate of 5.31%, which is awesome. And then the top 10% seeing 11.45%, which is phenomenal. The reason why we use these as benchmarks is when we look at our top 25 and top 10% of advertisers on Google, we're seeing that the relative abundance of landing page testing that they're doing for their clients is 4 for the top 25% of advertisers. And what we see when you're testing at least 4 landing pages for your clients is a 2x increase in your conversion rate. If you're in the top 10%, we're seeing that most of our advertisers or the advertisers that we work with are testing at least 10 landing pages, and you can see that results in a 5x conversion rate for them. So we wanted to ask you, how often are you testing your landing pages for your clients? And that poll is launched as well. We'll leave that open here and see what we get for some feedback and responses.
All right, we've got about 65% of the vote in so far. So we'll close it down shortly. So we're seeing about 64% of our audience today is testing landing pages monthly. We've got a few people on there who are wondering, I was supposed to do that? And then we've got a little bit of weekly and yearly as well.
Okay, great. So great feedback there, and it kind of leads into our next point about the impact of testing these landing pages for your client. So if you're in the group of people wondering, hey, why should I be testing my landing pages for my client? Why should I be constantly focusing on those landing pages? What we've done here is give you an example from the HVAC industry. And we see in the average industry conversion rate column that we're seeing a 3.3% conversion rate, which if you remember from the previous slide, is about average in terms of Google advertising. So on the left-hand side, we're just taking a generic advertiser who isn't really focusing or doing any landing page optimization for their clients. And what you can see is if we're spending $5,000 a month, what we're going to see from that spend in HVAC is 32 leads at a 20% closing percentage. That's 6.4 sales a month. At 4,000, at an average selling price of 4,000, that turns into $25,000 in revenue, which off of a $5,000 ad spend isn't that bad at all. However, if you see on the right-hand side, the impact of testing those landing pages, and we use that 4x multiplier or that 4 landing page multiplier to do this analysis here, we're taking that same ad spend from the same industry, and after doubling the conversion rate to 6.6%, not only do we get into the top 25% of people advertising on Google, we're at the top end of our industry in the HVAC space. And now we're seeing at that 20% closing percentage, 12.8 sales a month, resulting in that average selling price of $4,000 per sale, which doubles our revenue to $51,200. So a huge impact for our clients, for our agencies who are doing this landing page optimization and getting landing pages up and running for their clients. With that being said, it's important when we discuss landing pages not to just refer to them generally. We need to focus in on mobile as well. And when we look at landing page performance or performance on mobile devices in terms of conversion rates, we see that the conversion rate on mobile is actually lower than the average conversion rate in the specific industry, and the CPA is higher. So we assume that most mobile searches occur on the go. So people are walking around, searching on their phones, when in fact 60% of our mobile users are browsing at home. What we're saying is, why doesn't the math add up here? So consumers expect and deserve amazing mobile experiences. And if we're not giving them those amazing mobile experiences on their landing pages, the likelihood of them converting becomes much lower. So on average, it's taking 15.3 seconds to fully load a mobile page, which seems like an eternity, and it is. 40% of users who are searching on mobile will leave a landing page if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. And they become 62% less likely to purchase the service that we're marketing on that landing page. So as Zena gets into the audit section here, it's really important to keep not only landing page optimization, CRO in mind, but mobile at the forefront as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. So hopefully at this juncture, you're all convinced that landing page experiences should be a critical component of what you guys are offering to your clients as agencies. So let's go ahead and dive in and figure out where we should focus our energies in terms of landing page optimization and what we should really be recommending to our clients from an optimization standpoint. But before jumping in, I wanted to take another quick poll. I promise this is one of the last ones, if not the last one, and see if you can guess, just based on instinct, which of these two is the better landing page. Both of these were built with WordStream CRO Toolkit, so no bias here. So please give us your honest opinion. Which one of these do you think is the better page?
Go ahead and just send that into the chat box for this one, A or B. I think we've got some resounding thoughts on the line right now. People are really liking landing page B. So let's see what Zena has to say.
All right, cool. So take a mental note and let's see if your instincts are right. So what do we want to do when we audit a landing page? Let's take a look. We created this nifty little audit checklist for you guys to use as a reference point. The first consideration is really obviously speed, right? So we just heard from Matt, we know that it takes, that this is a really critical component of the mobile experience, and actually that more than half of mobile users are going to leave a page if it takes too slowly to load. So nailing the site speed is really essential to delivering a fantastic experience. We also need to ensure that the content that we display above the fold of our landing page is really focused on the most critical information needed to transact. So on mobile specifically too, above the fold content on mobile devices is really premium real estate. So we don't have a lot of room and we can't crowd the top of the page. So we need to be sure that whatever we're doing at the top of the, above the fold is really, really critical content. Next, we need to ensure that we're offering a clear value proposition. Actually, this can be a little bit more complicated than a lot of people think. A lot of advertisers assume that they know and have a really good value proposition, but a lot of what people think is a good value proposition is actually not a value prop. We need to obviously present a prominent call to action because we want to create these pages to convert. And finally, for bonus points, if we can figure out a way to customize key information on our landing pages to users, we're really going to be able to make a dent in driving conversions. So, starting with site speed, drum roll please, let's see how landing page A performed. Yikes, 9-second load time with an estimated visitor loss of 29%, so not ideal, but let's see how landing page B fared. 4 seconds, so not too shabby at all. Only 10% estimated visitor loss due to our load times. So round one, in this case, goes to landing page B, but let's take some time to talk about why landing page 1 had such slow load times. The biggest culprit in these instances when it comes to site speed is usually image size. Images account for most of the downloaded bytes on a page, so ensuring that we're compressing our images when possible is really critical to ensuring that we are allowing for a fast load time. And there are so many free tools out there that can help you with this compression. TinyPNG is one of my favorites. And I want to add, compressing images does not mean just like degrading quality or shrinking the size of the image. You can still use high quality, beautiful images. In fact, the very same images that we saw on landing page A without hurting the site speed. So if you don't believe me, these two are the same image here. They're our Larry Page clones. And one is compressed, one is not compressed. I don't know if you guys can tell the difference, but I certainly can't. So yeah. So let's see what happens now when we go ahead, take our landing page A and compress our images. 4 seconds, so a world of difference here. We're using the same images, but by compressing that image size, we're able to deliver a much faster experience. All right, so this brings us to checklist item number 2, which is to make sure to prioritize visible content. And here, let's start with landing page A. We have a really pretty design here, but there's a lot going on above the fold, right? So this presents a prime opportunity to cut back on text or push some information below the fold. All of which is customizable, by the way, through WordStream CRO Toolkit. When we look at landing page B, we can see a much cleaner above the fold experience, right? So the text that we're using above the fold is much more limited, and it's very clear what we're supposed to do here in order to transact. So in round 2, The win again goes to landing page B. So we're off to an early lead. So now let's tackle value propositions, right? So as I mentioned earlier, value propositions are really important, but they're often the most overlooked elements of site design. 54% of advertisers actually do absolutely nothing to optimize their value prop. So it's a huge opportunity to stand out from the crowd. And I want to start by highlighting one problem that many advertisers have, which is that they misunderstand what a value proposition should be. So some of the common examples we're looking at here, number one rated, number one ranked, these are what we call positioning statements. These are not value propositions. So I just want to be very clear about that. So what are the elements of a great value proposition? There's 3 core elements. The first is, how does your product or service solve problems and or improve your customer's work or life? What specific benefits does your product or service bring to your customers? Why should customers buy your product or service over your competitors? And for some examples of some really fantastic and well-placed value propositions for some brands that I personally love. The first is this company, Bright Aura, which specifically focuses on man-made diamonds. So they're earth-friendly, climate-conscious. They're really good quality. They're clear as day. These are some great differentiators that differentiate this brand from the rest of the competition. We have TaskRabbit. Great value prop here. They're basically itemized in the exact 1, 2, and 3 core elements of value props that we just reviewed. And then SoundCloud also does a really good job. Listen offline, ad-free, 150 million tracks and growing. These are some great examples of some non-number 1 ranked or number 1 rated value propositions. So in this instance, I actually went ahead and made both of these landing page templates with WordStream CRO Toolkit, and I did not get around to creating a clear value proposition. So I'm going to give myself a failing grade on both of these templates. All right, so now let's talk prominent calls to action. And this is very thematically similar to what we just talked about with the critical information resting above the fold, right? So we want to make sure that our call to action here is really the most visible piece. In landing page A, our call to action is obscured by the text. And frankly, the action form itself could be a little bit bigger. What we see with page B, it's much larger, and it's a very clear call to action that really can't be missed here. So in this case, our prominent call to action really is winning. So again, in this round, we give the win to landing page B. All right, guys, so we're in the final round around customizing key information. So what does this mean? Well, one of the really easiest ways to create a customized experience is to leverage what we call convertibles. And what are convertibles? They're really a fancy way of talking about pop-ups. But before you panic, these are not the kind of pop-ups I'm talking about, right? Pop-ups have come a very long way from the nuisance that you're seeing over here on the left side of the screen. And they can actually So as an example, shameless plug, Google Ads performance, I may see an informative and helpful guide on hacking my quality score. Conversely, if I'm on the very same blog, but taking the time to read about a new Facebook ads update, my custom messaging changes, and I'm served an even more helpful ad, prompting to run a Facebook grader. So your clients can leverage these exact same tactics while using WordStream CRO Toolkit to create some convertibles. So I created a couple examples here, and I just want to be clear that this took me 30 minutes to create, so I know that they're not the best quality, but the fact that these took 30 seconds to create is really amazing. So in landing page A, the template that I was using there is associated with a restaurant. So say you're a restaurant, you're running a campaign, but you're bidding on queries that are specifically related to catering and event planning. That's the kind of traffic we're driving to our specific landing page. We could theoretically serve a custom convertible that simplifies the inquiry process. So maybe you're advertising for your own services, which is what we see on the right-hand side if you're an agency, and you're bidding on queries that are related to improving site speed, right? We talked a lot about the necessity of improving site site speed for mobile. You could here create a custom convertible on your landing page by offering tips on how to enhance your site speed through a white paper. And both of these were created in 30 seconds. You can get really creative here. Like I Google image the Speedy Gonzalez little meme here. You can do whatever you want really with the images and with the language. And getting really creative can be a highly effective way for you to stand out and really boost your conversion rate optimization. Okay, so I know that these were created quickly, but they still are effective. So I'm going to give myself 2 passing grades here for customizing key information. And our winner is landing page B. So you guys all should trust your gut instincts because you called it and did so fantastically. And now you have a little bit of armor to go in and have similar kinds of conversations with your clients about their own landing pages and how they can improve them.
Cool, and thanks so much, Gina. And for anyone on the line with any questions on the checklist or on the audit section in general, I know there's a lot of great tips and tricks there. Feel free to chat them in. Amanda is taking note of all your questions, and we'll get to as many of them as we can at the end. But if you're going to put in all of this work into this service, obviously we have to monetize it. So let's get into discussing how we price. What's interesting about pricing landing page services or CRO, if you've followed us in the past in our agency webinars, you'll see that the most important piece is going to be that hourly rate that you guys want to achieve for any service that you're offering. All of these other things, the number of landing pages that you're going to run for your clients, customization of those landing pages, analytics and optimizations, A/B testing, and ongoing support and maintenance are all factors into the work that you're going to do, but we need to determine what we want our hourly rate to be. So there's a couple different ways that we recommend pricing these services for your clients. The first one being a standalone one-time charge. This is going to be best for our agencies who anticipate a low number of landing pages in your scope of work. Don't plan on doing much optimization strategy and including that in your core offering. And aren't going to be focused on A/B testing or multivariate testing. And how this breaks down is, again, we need to scope out the work in terms of hours needed for QA and building out these pages. And then once we calculate our hourly billing rate, what we're going to say is, the average kind of profit margin for client services is going to be between 10 and 20%. So based off of all of those calculations that you do, you can take 20% and make that your margin. And then you can charge that hourly fee as needed to go along with that. Now, if you're an agency who's going to be kind of offering this as a core service, you're doing a lot of landing page work for those clients, what we're going to say, and if obviously you're going to be focused on A/B testing here, which is kind of a key differentiator, you're going to spend a lot more time launching pages and getting things up and running these tests. What we're going to say is now you need to add in, when you're scoping out your work, that time for A/B testing frequency for all of these pages. And what we're doing is we're still taking the 10% or 10 to 20% margin, but we're just going to lump this in to our recurring retainer fee that we have with our clients. So, instead of these one-time fees, it's not going to be really scalable for our clients who want us to focus in on landing page optimization or CRO. So we want to lump this into our retainer fee and do this kind of work up front based off the projects that you have scoped out with your clients. Lastly, if you're like one of the many agencies that we work with here at WordStream and you're doing a lot of different services for your client, and it's just one of them, there's no problem with breaking this out into kind of one-time fees plus recurring memberships. And again, these are best for those agencies who are offering a ton of different services. You think that landing page work is going to be lumped into that service offering, but you can't really calculate what the demand will be. What we're going to say is, again, scope out all of these hours of work for all the different areas that we looked at for the recurring model. So QA, A/B testing is going to be included here as well. You calculate that hourly billing rate again. Using that 10 to 20% profit margin that we're referencing, you can now break these into tiered services. So for the design and setup, we're going to look at the first offering that we mentioned. We're not going to do much A/B testing. These can be one-time fees. So if anyone wants your help for landing page design, launching the landing pages live, you can charge them a one-time fee. If they want you to also get into that multivariate and A/B testing, then you can lump that portion into your recurring fee, so you have some portion of that included in your retainer, and they can come to you, whenever they need things designed or launched. with this being said, that's kind of the end of our presentation here. Amanda is going to be pulling up a poll. What we're offering after this webinar is if you want to speak to someone like me or someone on my team that works directly with agencies like you and get a landing page consultation for an existing client page that you've got up and running, just indicate that on the poll that Amanda is going to launch right now. On that poll, you have two options. And then after you kind of indicate that on the poll, we're going to have some time for Q&A, I believe.
Thanks, Matt and Zena. That was awesome. You guys, these are serious experts in their fields. They know what they're talking about, but it was a lot. It was a lot of awesome information. And like Matt said, we are doing that offer to kind of customize the conversation to your clients in your business line and make sure that it's making sense contextually for you guys in your space. So it's a really cool offer. Let the experts evaluate the landing pages you're working on now. So while you're answering that, let's dive into some questions. So we did have a mix of agencies currently doing landing pages on the line, ones that are starting the service. So let me just dive into those who are maybe some newbies here. What kind of would you pinpoint as critical points of information to have above the fold if you're starting from scratch and making those new landing pages?
Awesome question. So this is really going to depend on the specific transaction that you're trying to get a customer to make and how much information that they need to actually make that transaction. So in an example where you're a restaurant service, let's say, and you want the user has specifically searched for terms that are related to catering, and you want them to file an inquiry, the amount of information that they need to make that decision is probably pretty minimal, right? They're looking specifically for catering services. Most times that's going to be a custom quote. They just want to get called back or contacted back. So that is kind of a no-brainer there. If you are a service that requires a little bit more information in order to incent someone to take action, what you can do is actually take that information and put it directly below the fold. So you still want the desired action to be above the fold in that, like if you're asking for an email or a phone number or whatever you're asking in the form fill, that should be kind of front and center, but you still want to have some information that is easily accessible with a simple scroll below the fold. So yeah, depends on the industry.
Awesome. And then you obviously did an analysis of some landing pages yourself. Are there like any helpful tools out there that you know of to use to do that as they're kind of exploring this new offering?
Definitely. So there's several. Test My Site. .thinkwithgoogle.com is fantastic. There's also Page Speed Insights that is very specific to page speed. Both of those tools are really, really fantastic resources that are totally free to use. And if you're having trouble reading it or figuring out what to do, if you test a page and you're finding that it's not performing optimally, obviously Matt and his team are able to assist with that too.
Awesome. And then kind of a final wrap-up question. Would you say that best practice would be to combine landing page optimization and pop-ups in your CRO offering?
I would say definitely. I think the two kind of go hand in hand really nicely. At the end of the day, what we're talking about when we're talking about landing page experiences is ultimately user experience, and convertibles, which is the PC term for pop-ups, is a great way to enhance that user experience. So I would bundle those two together.
And WordStream CRO Toolkit actually has both of those, right?
Yes. So those 30-second convertibles that I built, you can do the same exact thing with WordStream if you like.
And we actually just had one more come through. How do you charge for a client that has different services with different locations? Do you have any best practices for that when you're dealing with multi-location ones?
Yeah, so what I would do in that end, you probably fall into the category, the third category that we went through, the blended category, because if you have a lot of different clients that have varying needs, you want to be able to account for the added work that it'll take for a customer who has a lot of different products and services in their wheelhouse. So what you would want to do in that end is scope out the work for the kind of upfront design and setup for all of the pages for all of the different products and services that they're offering, and then also include a bundled rate, which is that recurring retainer rate for the ongoing A/B multivariate testing, because the bulk of that work will be up front. And then you'll be fine-tuning, obviously, and making tweaks on hopefully a monthly or quarterly schedule for those pages, so that the blended option would be the best in that instance.
And the team, and Zena, thanks for the answer there. The team, if you guys requested a phone call with us, is happy to review any of these strategies in greater depth and how they kind of interact and are, go hand in hand with some of the other services that you're offering that have to do with landing page optimization.
Perfect. And then one last question just came in to clarify, where are those emails captured in like pop-ups and things like that? Would that be in your email database, in WordStream itself, or how does the flow work with the CRO toolkit?
Yeah, so it's a great question. We've actually got some integrations directly into some main email providers, MailChimp being one of them. So we'd be happy to review those with you as well. Otherwise, you'll have the ability to kind of store them in WordStream and access them how you wish.
Cool. Alrighty. So actually, another question just rang through. We'll have this be the last one. I'm happy to see people are interested in this topic. We love having your questions. If we can't get to it on the line, we'll hope to have someone reach out to you to get that answer for you. So this last one that we'll go to is, what are your thoughts regarding sending traffic to landing pages versus creating a landing page on the client's website in terms of SEO benefits? So I think that's custom landing pages versus ones that already exist.
Yeah, so we should be really clear here too. The landing pages that we're talking about are specifically designed for paid channels. So the pages that you'll be building through CRO Toolkit are pages that you want to send paid traffic for. There's obviously other ramifications for organic that involve, for starters, keywords on the actual page itself. And that's actually pretty limiting for paid channels because in order to rank organically, there's a lot more effort that needs to go in. And because you have to kind of adhere to these principles of SEO keyword management and content, you actually end up creating pages that might be a little bit longer than what you would typically want to surface to someone who's clicking an ad, and kind of slow down the conversion process. So our recommendation is absolutely to create separate landing pages for your paid digital efforts as opposed to organic.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much again. We hope everyone on the line enjoyed this content today. Feel free to reach out with us with any additional questions afterwards. And remember that you will get the recording and the slide deck in your email within the next 24 hours. So we hope to see you on the next webinar. Thanks.